Aloha, everybody. Day is September 3rd, 2024. We are moving and grooving right through this entire summer, and now we're on the other side of it. Kids are back to school, fall has officially begun, and I'm shocked because I don't know where the summer went. I don't know about you, but it went fast for me. Um, I want to thank our sponsor, Centerpoint. I've just put that special link where they are giving you guys 2 months free in the chat. And I've also put it up on X. I would love to see how you guys are doing, how the last 2 trading days have gone. Would love to offer coaching to a volunteer who's willing to come on camera. And when that person raises their hand, let me know. One of the things that I put out today, it's a short video where I talk about how I don't see traders asking enough questions or putting themselves in a vulnerable position often enough in front of their, trusted guru, or even to me volunteering for coaching. Like, I'm expensive, guys, and I'm offering you complimentary coaching right now. Yes, it's in public, but who cares? Most people are not really paying attention so much to you. They're paying attention to their own trading. So you got to ask yourself, even the small collective of people that are here right now, why would you not take advantage of the coaching that I'm offering right here? Except that your ego is in the way, except that you don't want to, quote unquote, look bad. And I really want to challenge you on that today, because it is that repetition of not wanting to look bad that's going to keep you trapped in a cycle that is not in your best interest as a trader. So be with that concept, whether or not you come in the room now. What is it? What about your ego is attached to looking good or having all the answers or not looking like a fool, right? And part of what that video speaks to that I posted today is simply that most people, where are they spending their time? They're spending their time thinking about themselves. They're not spending their time worrying or thinking about you in this way or that way, because that is not where people put their time, just like you don't put your time there. You put your time on yourself, and that's what everybody else does. So the next time you have an opportunity to, how many people go here into X spaces with incredibly experienced veteran traders and never ask questions? You got to take a hard look at that, guys, because I'm telling you right now, that is your inner critic, inner gremlin, inner saboteur who is telling you to keep your hand down and to not look like you don't know what you're doing. And it is that very big bridge, or rather wall, that keeps the bridge joining you to the success you want to have as a trader. It's very costly. And I just don't want to see you guys pay that cost, because if that's what's happening with regards to X spaces or this forum or your ability in the Discord rooms you belong to, that you don't ask questions or take the risk at being wrong when somebody asks you a question, because you're so wanting to be perfect, you're so wanting to look like you have it together, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. And I want you guys to realize that is showing up in your trading, no matter what. That is showing up in your trading, and it's costing you. And if you aren't comfortable with getting uncomfortable, it's going to be very difficult for you to succeed as a trader. So you might as well bite that bullet now, guys, because when money's at stake, when your P&L is at stake, everything becomes heightened. Everything becomes way more charged. And yet, you have to ask yourself, when was the last time you were willing to be with discomfort? When was the last time you were willing to take some sort of uh, path that you don't see the majority of people on? Being a trader is that path, but you have to consistently be committed to the discomfort that's going to come with it. Because if you can't be with these small discomforts, how are you going to be with the really big discomforts? I want to speak to a live that I did. It's probably a month or two ago, where Jason Shapiro came on this into the room, and he's a market wizard. He's featured in Jack Schwager's book Unknown Market Wizards. Jason's been at this a long time. And he was so forthright about the challenge he had had. Again, this was a couple of months ago, um, week after week. And he said it was demoralizing him. It was so frustrating. It was embarrassing. Like, you should watch that conversation. It's on the YouTube channel. It was so incredible to have him speak out loud the very challenges that he still was going through that very day. And I want you guys to get that if there is a very successful market wizard who is talking about that, then you got to ask yourself, what is it that makes you think you're going to be different? What is it that you think is going to be actually different than somebody who's been at it likely way more than you have and PS has experienced great success? So I just posted the link to come in for speed coaching. My request is that you have a camera. So please do use that link. And I'm going to put that link up on X as well for people to use it. All right. Let me get this up here on X. All right. So if you guys don't bring a question live to this right now, let me just put this up. Live coaching for you. Join here. Where was I at? I lost the thing. Brought a lot of light on trading. Wasn't that a good one, Tina? I thought it was too. I thought it was just so, really courageous. I want to say brave, authentic. It's part of why I love Jason so much. You're never going to have to guess where he stands. He's always going to shoot straight from the hip. And I don't know that that is done all the time, but Jason is comfortable with the discomfort of trading. He has gotten so comfortable with the discomfort that he is able to be honest about the dark moments and the challenges he's facing. It's good to see you too, Liz. I'm very happy you're here. Tina, of course, I'm happy you're here too. Everybody, I'm happy everybody's here. And I want there to be some new people to come into this link and get some coaching, because at the end of the day, I can wax on till I'm blue in the face about topics I see traders repeatedly bump into. But it's always better to have one of you traders come in here and speak to the very challenge that you're having, because then I get to coach you in real time. And if I get to coach you in real time, you actually have an opportunity to have change. Hi, Jess. I'm so glad you're here too. So, today's topic, we're going to go back to the first of the 5 practices. And one other announcement, I am going to do something a little different this week. On Thursday, this coming Thursday, I am going to do an X space at 6, 7, 11:30. I'm gonna do an X space on 11:30. Hi, Carson, glad you're here. 11:30, I'm gonna do an X space, a live X space to do speed coaching. That's 11:15 Eastern time because I know a lot of traders who try to get done as soon as they can before really 11 o'clock. So I thought I would do that unusual time just to see if it works, to see if it serves this community. We'll see how that goes. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to do Tuesdays about this time, and then on Thursdays I'm going to do the X space, which will be audio only for some speed coaching. So if you guys want to come and check that out, it might be too early, 11:30 Eastern time, but we're going to find out. I think a lot of times when I've done them on Fridays, people are already off to the races. They don't want to kind of do some coaching on the eve of the weekend, which I totally get. So, okay. So I'm excited to have so many friendly faces here. And hopefully, I'm sure there's a bunch of new people too. And hopefully, you guys are going to start to get the vibe here and get comfortable coming in. We've had Tina come in, we've had Liz come in, we've had Jazz come in, we've had Carson come in, all for free coaching. Mighty 7 Under, I will pick next time because I'm driving from work. Well, Mighty 7 Under, thank you for telling me. I'm glad to hear it. And next time it is, I'm looking forward to doing some speed coaching with you. But I'm curious who else is going to volunteer. And we'll give it a minute to see if anybody else wants to raise their hand. But I want you guys to I'm not trying to make you wrong right now. I'm trying to force you to take a hard look at what would stop you. It's like there's $1,000 bill in front of you on the sidewalk, and you don't want people to see that you picked it up. What would you actually think about that, right? What would you think about somebody who's more worried what it looks like to other people that they don't even know than to get the value? And I can promise you, my coaching is so good that the value will be way beyond $1,000, guys, because the return on the investment in coaching. Do you know the stats? And I talked about this on the Alpha Mind podcast. Steve Goldstein had me on a couple of weeks ago. We talked about how the ICF, which is the International Coaches Federation, the governing body that gives me my credentials, gave the curriculum school that I went to its credentials as officially mandated as a legitimate coaching kind of protocol, so to speak. Their numbers on the return of investment on coaching is 700%. Think about that. 700%. And Steve's colleague, who he has a coaching group with, his name is Mark Randall. He said he's heard numbers in the thousands of percent. That's how powerful coaching is. And Stephen himself talks about in his book, Mastering Market Mind Games, right? That's the title. I'm grabbing this book off the shelf here. Oh, sorry. Mastering the Mental Game of Trading. This is Stephen's book. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. Stephen talks about how when he was a trader, he actually was going to have his coach paid for him by the firm. And he told the firm no. He said he actually said no because he was so afraid to look weak. He was so afraid to look needy. He was so intimidated to look like he didn't have it all together. And he talks about this in the book, guys, that he didn't have it all together, that he had some serious stress because he was repeatedly bumping into a challenge as a trader. And then at some point, the boss that had encouraged him said, look, we're going to pay for your coaching. talked him into it and said, "Look, I really want you to do this coaching." And so he did. And he talks about how it changed everything for him. And similar to me, because of his own experience with coaching, he became a coach. And that is the same for me. While I wasn't a trader, I was working in finance, and I had such a life changing experience with the coach I hired. Uh, that I decided to become a coach. So I just put that out there, guys, because you got to take a hard look at what is causing your resistance, because I can promise you the resistance that keeps you from coming in here or asking questions on this X or asking questions in a Discord room that you're in or sending a DM to any of the handful of very competent traders on X to ask a question of them is part of why your trading isn't up leveling, because you are too concerned with your ego about looking good than you are about becoming a better trader. And that is going to cost you. So I leave it at that. All right, Jess. Jess said, I encourage you all to come on here. You may know what your problem is, but it's amazing when you have to talk about it out loud to a professional. Jess, 100%. This is something too. I spoke to a prospect last week, and one of the things that he said to me, which was so fascinating, was such a good question. He was saying, what is it that happens in coaching? Why does that work when other things haven't? Can't we be self aware? And I said to him, 100% we can be self aware. But, and I will say it here too, because I feel like it makes Jess's point. And I speak from my own personal experience with my coach. When I first experienced the dynamic of a coach, part of what was so profound about it is that the coach holds your agenda. The coach themselves, if they're decent, does not have an agenda. The coach is coming from a place of neutrality. And it's because of that neutrality that a client is able to hear themselves for the first time. When we are in our own conversation in our head, that is not actual communication. Part of what Jess is pointing out in what she wrote is that verbally speaking, what is going on for you allows you to hear it. And that is what it can be so profound. I remember in a couple of these sessions I had with my coach, I heard myself say some statements. And before she could even respond, I followed it up with this. Do I actually believe that? Like, it was like such an aha moment for me because it forced me to hear how I had this story that was actually all BS. That is what happens. There were times in my coaching session with the breakthrough moments, and my coach hadn't even said anything because I was unfolding before my own eyes. And that was game changing. Shoe shine trades. Thank you for smashing the like and telling everybody else too. I appreciate that. And shoe shine trades. Why are you not coming in here for coaching? And Eric, the same to you. This is an opportunity for free coaching. You guys don't have to spend a dime. And you got to ask yourselves, how come I don't come in here? How come I'm being stopped? What is going on with my ego that doesn't let me pick up this valuable opportunity? You got to ask yourselves that, guys. This is the thing about the markets. It is going to force you to be with hard truths about yourself. And you can resist as long as your capital stays in your account. But at some point, if you do not face the things that you don't want to face, your capital is going to go down the drain. And you've got to really hear that that is where the majority of traders go. This is the most critical piece for you to be able to go the distance is you're going to have to face some very hard truths about yourself that you currently are not wanting to be with or face or stand in front of. And until you are all in, you're not going to be able to up level. I want to also tell you guys that I had a client many years ago. I've been a coach 18 years. So she was like in the first year of me coaching. And this was a gal who she was not coachable. We had done a handful of sessions together. There was a lot of resistance because she was not ready to face some hard truths about herself. And I stopped her coaching. I said, look, here's the hard truth. Yes, I'd love to have you as a client, but you're not coachable right now because the things that I'm talking to you about, the things I'm telling you about, you don't want to be with. You don't want to see them. And until you're willing to see them, this work that we're doing isn't a good use of your money. And I actually told her, strongly suggested she go and do the Landmark Forum, which is 101 for taking 100% responsibility for yourself. And she did. And amazingly, she came back a couple of years later, many years later, in fact, to acknowledge that she wasn't coachable and that she was so grateful that I didn't just let her kind of spin her wheels in the coaching because she had yet to take 100% responsibility. That is one of the most critical gates that a trader has to walk through. And I would say that this is the heart of what I see missing the most in traders is traders aren't the market doesn't require you to pass a test to say that you're ready before you start trading your money. uh, Traders don't have a license they have to secure. Traders just kind of dive into the deep end of the ocean and presume they'll learn how to swim after they're in the water. And what I want to say to you guys is that the only way that can work in your favor is if you're willing to take 100% responsibility for whatever shows up in your trading. Anytime there is an excuse made, anytime there is a story you come up with about market makers, about, you know, you were misled or this guru didn't know what they were talking about, you are avoiding the most critical foundational stone to this whole thing. And that is self responsibility. And you got to ask yourself, are you actually being 100% responsible for everything that shows up in your trading? And I'm going to expand to beyond that. I'm going to ask you, do you take 100% responsibility for what your entire life looks like? It is so easy to find people, places, things, parents, circumstances, bank accounts, this, and this. And I'm telling you, you want a massive shift? Take ownership for everything. I'm not saying blame, guys. I'm saying ownership. I'm saying responsibility. Because once you take 100% responsibility, you wind up putting yourself completely into a much more empowered position. And that's what you have to be in if you want to succeed as a trader. It's very, very easy to point the finger at all of these other variables. But the most important thing is for you guys to own the outside as you, not with blame, not with fault. It is simply a grace you give yourself. And that is from Werner Erhard. He is the creator of Landmark Forum. Back in the day, it was called EST. But what that course does is it teaches you how to take 100% responsibility for everything. And the day you do that, I know the day I did that, which was over 20 years ago, my entire life completely transformed. So that is practice one, self-responsibility. And I'm going to give you guys a link for you to sign up for that PDF because it's specific to the 5 practices. And part of why I give this out to everybody is because I want everybody to truly be able to start to live these 5 practices, because I can promise you these 5 practices will absolutely transform your life if applied and transform your trading. And the only way that happens is if you begin with practice 1, which is 100% responsibility and owning everything that's around you as you, being the one who is a reflection of all that's showing up. Most of the times we've been taught to collapse taking responsibility with taking blame. And that is such a big mistake. And it's a big part of the reason why people struggle with taking responsibility, because they have collapsed it with blame. And that is what people resist. People resist it because they are already living in the swamp of blame. And the swamp of blame is not the same as a place where you take 100% responsibility. And that's what I want you guys to see. It's a radically different construct. I'm putting this up on X. All right. So who is volunteering? I still don't see a volunteer. Not one person wants to get free coaching today, huh? That seems kind of crazy. But what are you going to do? So, any questions about self-responsibility? That is practice 1 of my 5 practices. I just put up a link for you guys to sign up for that PDF. That PDF is going to have an example of what that practice 1 looks like in real time. It's going to speak. Cynthia, come on in. Do you want to come in for coaching? You just have to click that studio restream button and make sure your camera's on. But I would love to coach you, Cynthia, if you're game. I hope you're going to come in. I just see an I there. So I think you mean I will come in, but that's me speculating. So yeah, please sign up for that PDF, because the email will come over 5 weeks. Oh, you guys probably can hear that. That's the tsunami warning system. The first business day, yesterday was a holiday, so it didn't go off. But at once a month, we have that tsunami warning come over the speakers across all the towns, because we're an island in the Pacific. And because of that, we get a tsunami warnings, which, we have had tsunamis here, not while I've lived here, thank God. But yeah, it's quite a sobering sound, and you guys probably can hear it. All right, so Cynthia, I'm not sure if you're not coming in, that's okay. But if you are coming in, just give me a heads up that you're coming, and then, I'll give you some time to arrive. But if not, Cynthia, then I'm going to encourage the rest of you viewers to take that link for the restream and come on in with your camera on and do some speed coaching with me. This concept of self-responsibility is one that takes some getting used to. And I think it can be really difficult, especially for those who are coming from a very challenging childhood. I know it's so loud. I'm just going to mute my mic. It goes for a very long time so that nobody would ever not hear it, because there were lives lost with the tsunamis back in the day. And ever since that, for the last 20 years or so, they have this very intense tsunami warning. Excellent, Cynthia. I'm looking forward to you coming in. Let me know if you have any trouble with the link. Once you get parked and settled, and you can click that link, come on in. I'm going to also put that restream link up on Twitter, and then anybody who's on X, Twitter, or what have you, can come on in. Let me put this up. Want to join the live coaching. That was long. That was a long one. Click here. Okay. All right. Let's see here. How's Cynthia? You want to take this link up, type it in again, and you click it, and then you have to approve your camera showing, and you want to make sure your microphone is on, and then you're going to come into the green room, so to speak. I'll see you there, and then I'll put your camera on. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing this with you. Excellent. Hi, Cynthia. How are you?
Hi, Anne. How are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, crystal clear.
Fantastic.
So how you give me permission to coach you, I presume.
Absolutely.
What do you want coaching on for today?
So I was just listening to your live stream. It's been a while since I've been on. I must say I've been quite busy with work and everything else, and back to school with my twins. But I'm so happy to be here today. And a lot of what you were just saying really resonated with me, where, things took a little bit of a turn lately in the last, I would say, 2 months for the worse with my trading, unfortunately. And I really had a lot of blame that was, outside of myself. I had a million reasons why things weren't working out, but I do realize it's funny that I'm listening to you today and you're talking about this very subject, because I've come to realize that when I look back at my mistakes now and what I did wrong, it really had to do with me. It really had everything to do with me, and not so much with any outside factors. At least I hope not. you know.
I
So
have to tell you, Cynthia, tell me what that physically feels like, just admitting that out loud right now.
it feels it's a relief for me, because I was
Good.
really convinced that my market makers were toying with me, or even that my brokerage, the brokers that I deal
Totally.
with, that they had something to do with it also. Only because I was really on the up and up, and I've obviously been through some highs and some lows, but
Sure.
overall, I am still trending, upwards, which is a good
Mhm,
thing. However,
mhm.
lately I had found myself. I really, really thought that I had turned that final corner,
Yes,
of struggle, and where
yes.
things were really, really going well. Like, I mean, better than ever before. It was, daily successes, weekly for sure, and definitely monthly. And then it went from that to, I mean, I don't know, to disaster
Yes,
in the span
yes.
of no time at all. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And the more it felt that I was trying to just keep up with those successes I had, the worse things got.
Yep. So
And
I want to pause you for 1 second, and I
sure.
want to just take you back to what I asked you at the beginning when you spoke that you realized you were looking to blame. I said, "How do you feel?" And you said relief. Do you remember that?
Yes.
So I want you to stay in that feeling of relief just for a moment or two. I want
Hmm.
you, if you're willing, because you're parked, it looks like. So close your eyes and take that metaphoric elevator down from your head into your body. And I want you to see if you can pinpoint where is the relief, literally now, physically inside of you. See if you can find that relief.
I would say it's more around my solar plexus area.
Okay, so keep your eyes closed. Let your attention go to that area. Put your hand literally on the spot that feels relieved and tune into it. And keeping your eyes closed, I want you to just tell me, what do you notice about this physical spot in your body and the qualities that are there? There's no right
Well,
or wrong.
I'm right. So I'm feeling
Keep your
space.
eyes
Where
closed. Keep your eyes
right.
closed.
So I'm feeling space. Whereas before it really felt constricted. It felt tight. So it's
Good.
feeling like
Good.
looser.
Looser.
It's more open is what
Good,
is
good,
how I
good.
would
So
describe.
stay with it. Keep your eyes closed. And the only reason I have you keeping your eyes closed is because we're so used to thinking that when we keep our eyes closed, it forces us to feel and to be and to connect to our body. And that's what I want you to do right now, because I have a feeling your body has a bunch of wisdom that you possibly don't always access.
Mm,
So I want you to take this internal snapshot of what relief feels like, of what openness feels like, of what spaciousness feels like. Take a mental, emotional, physical snapshot of this, please, Cynthia, because that is a space where possibility gets born.
mm, right.
So, what anything else show up physically there? Good job closing your eyes again. Good job.
Just like calm, which is good.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Mm,
So, I'm going to suggest, if you're willing to, for your homework, to see if you can go to this feeling physical place
mhm.
before your trading begins and at the end of your trading. That every
Mm,
day. Do a check in beforehand. Are you coming from spaciousness? Are you coming from a place of ease? Or are you
mm,
coming from a place of have to, must, should?
right. Yeah. I could see that making a huge difference. And on a lot of days, I would say I'm not coming from that place. It's really mostly coming from a place of fear. How's it going to go today? Oh, it's not starting out great. And then, and that gets worse and worse and spirals into this,
Totally,
abyss of, of
totally,
negativity.
totally.
Mm,
But here's the thing, the other word I want to just pull out of what you said at the start, you spoke to finally.
mm,
I've turned the corner, as if this is a Iron Man whose finish line is in view.
right.
This
Say
race
that again?
doesn't end.
Eh, eh,
You said finally I
Yeah.
turned the corner.
Hmm.
as if treating is an Iron Man and you see the finish line in view.
Oh, right. So that means what though? I'm trying to understand. Like,
Well, you tell me, is trading something that has a finish line?
yeah, I guess maybe I have been. I guess that makes sense. I guess, yeah, I think instead of being in the process of it, I guess I feel like I keep looking forward towards this ultimate goal. I think this image of this final goal
Yeah.
that
Yes.
I've created in my mind.
Yeah. So
Like I have these.
describe
Hmm.
what is that final goal?
Well, that final goal is really me. You know, well, there's a certain amount of money. There's a number attached to it. Obviously, there's a
Of course.
number attached
Yep.
to that.
Yep.
Uh, so I think that
And what else?
until
And what
well,
else?
it feels like until I achieve that number, no matter how good I do, it feels like it will never be good enough until I get to that number. That's
Right.
what it is.
Right. And can I tell you that if and when you ever get to that
Hmm.
number is going to be completely irrelevant to you, and another number will incredibly quickly be the new number.
I know it. I know it. But I'm just so anxious and looking forward to achieving that number that I don't even like I can't like I almost don't care about the after afterwards. I'm just really
I know.
focused on that. And
Yeah.
I can't really say it's a good thing, yes, because it's serving me as motivation. However,
What
it's
if
not a
it's
good
not?
thing because,
Cynthia,
pardon me.
what
Mm,
if it isn't actually motivating you, but destroying your motivation?
exactly. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah.
A lot of times, our inner critics set up these arbitrary goals for ourselves that aren't based in reality. And
Hmm.
when we create incredibly unrealistic goals for ourselves, we can't help but sabotage the accomplishments. We don't even appreciate what we've accomplished because we have this perfect fantasy land expectation that anything shy of it, we beat ourselves up for.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what I do. Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't matter how good it gets. And some days were really good. Some weeks were amazing, better than I could have even imagined. And it still wasn't good enough.
Because your inner critic has hijacked your head and your goals.
Hmm. Yeah.
That inner critic of yours, never mind you, if you haven't been trading for 20 or 30 years, how do you know this goal is even in the realm of appropriate?
Right.
Like, where did this goal come from? Just, fantasy land.
Hmm.
But if that goal is not something, let's say, Paul Tudor Jones could pull off, I'm thinking
Hmm.
it might be okay if you can't pull it off.
And you know what? I don't see it that way. I see it more so that the people that I follow that are really transparent have achieved these goals. And so I say to myself, they once started out where I am now, or where I was, let's say in 2017 when I really started trading. And so
Cynthia,
if they
ugh,
achieved it, why can't I?
I that is a very different way, though, than what we are talking about,
Mm,
because I want you to have bodacious goals. But what is today? Today's Tuesday.
mm-hmm.
Is it possible what you have done or have had your gremlin do with you is set a goal like this Saturday, Kim, I'm going to compete in the Ironman. Oh, have you been training for the Ironman?
No.
Well, no, but I can do it. I'm in pretty good shape. What? You will probably want more than 5 days to train for the Ironman.
Right.
So Can you do an Ironman? Absolutely. I have no doubt you can succeed at trading if you put all that you need to into it. But let's be sure that the markers of success, that the goalposts you've set for yourself are in proportion to what it actually takes.
Right. Right. So does that mean though that I have to lower my goals? You know what I mean? Or
It,
or or, or for the goalposts? Oh yeah.
these
Okay.
are excellent questions, and I don't know yet.
Mhm.
If I wanted to run an Ironman this Saturday,
Mhm.
I would be talking to probably the best coaches in the world, the best athletes in the world. I'd be scouring every Ironman interview there ever was to
Mhm.
find out, how do I measure? What is the yardstick an Ironman uses to set those goals for themselves?
Right. Well, I would assume, I mean, and then again, maybe I'm wrong, but I would assume that a person in that position, their their standard or their goal, that the goal that they are envisioning is very high. It's probably the highest that exists at that moment in that sport. No, or is that aiming too high? That's why
But
I don't
but
think I
think
understand.
but think about it. If an Ironman athlete in training
Hmm.
is going to be able to do what they want to achieve, they are gonna have to respect gravity. They're gonna have to respect their body's capacity to produce.
Right.
They cannot just force themselves into physical workouts that are gonna put them on tilt. Every part of their life has to be in sync, just like Olympians. They can't have McDonald's before a swim meet.
No, and that's true, and I'm sure that they must. I would assume understand that, and that the goal is to work themselves up to. However, I don't know. Maybe I'm still. I think I'm still stuck on the end goal, the end result, meaning that isn't it isn't it good to have that goal to aspire to? You know what I mean? Doesn't having such a great goal push you even farther than you could have ever imagined going? You know what I mean?
Here, I
If it,
do know what you mean.
if the
I
goal is
do.
too easy, then like I don't know.
So, is it possible that here's the thing about these bodacious goals is what happens when one doesn't live into them quick enough? The question is, do you beat yourself up for it then?
Yes.
So how can that bodacious goal then be potentially serving you if what
Right.
it's causing is a constant cycle of demonizing yourself and self-flagellating?
Absolutely.
Wouldn't
Right.
it
It's
be
not fair.
appropriate to commit to having bodacious goals, but still celebrating the 99 things that did go well, even if you
Yeah.
fall a little shy of that goal?
Absolutely. Yes.
Sometimes our inner critics push us not to like bodacious goals like in this universe, but ones into other galaxies. And they
Hmm.
say to us, we wouldn't be anywhere without them. But that isn't giving, I think, ourselves enough credit.
Right.
If the best traders in the world all say it takes a certain amount of time to absorb and understand risk management, pattern recognition, so on and so forth, wouldn't that be at least a ballpark expectation to perhaps step into?
Yeah.
I'm not saying you don't get to ramp it up a little bit, but I would think that since this is something that, I don't know how old you are, but you don't look like you're that old. So this has been going on for a long time, this game.
Oh,
Jason
absolutely.
Jason Shapiro, I just spoke to him coming in the room. He's been at it for decades. And he
Mm.
was like, and he's still like, and I still have things to learn. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not wanting you to not have bodacious goals for yourself. I'm just saying, let's find out in the scheme of things if the best of the best had some markers they used to measure themselves by. Wouldn't that be a perhaps better way to set those goals for yourself based on what?
Yeah.
Also, your ability to give trading. Are you trading full time?
Yes, I am. Well, I'm listening full time. I'm at my trading desk. I would say anywhere between around 3 to 4 hours a day. There are days where I'll
Yeah.
be there the whole day, but lately with the market and things, the way it's been less.
Yeah.
But yeah, 3 to 5 hours a day, and I also have a job as well. Yeah.
So you want to think about that. You have a job as well, and
Hmm.
you have twins, you just said.
Yes, I have
So
family, and I also take care of my mom too. So yeah, lots going on.
so
Yeah.
that has to be baked into this recipe.
Right. Yeah.
If you want to set big goals for yourself, fine, but you got to realize that you're trying to live into goals while trading part-time,
Hmm.
raising children, being a caretaker, having another job. Like, maybe that those expectations need to be considered with all the other responsibilities you have.
Right. Yeah. It's not easy for me to lower my expectations, especially about myself. It's very difficult.
So
You
what
know,
do you think informs that?
what do I think? What like? Where does it stem from? Is what?
What do you think informs you having this need to have so many high expectations on yourself?
I don't know. I feel like there's something that I gotta prove to myself. I feel like I've wanted to. I don't know. I've had this image of myself of who I've always wanted to be in my own eyes,
Mhm.
and it's not to show others. It's not to boast. Nothing
Right.
like that. It
God
really has
bless
to do
us.
with me and myself. And and it's just I feel like I will not be satisfied until I get to that. I don't know, to that
But what
place.
if, Cynthia, that image you have of yourself, you've already secured?
Right. Well, I don't feel it, and yet
You may
I have accomplished a
you
lot. I
you
really
may
have.
you may not feel it because you have an inner critic that isn't willing to let you feel it.
Right. Hmm. Absolutely. I know it. Yeah.
So let's get this gremlin out of the driver's seat,
Hmm.
because you got to think, is there a bigger theft than an inner critic who is telling you you don't get to already celebrate all that you are?
Mm.
That is the biggest theft of all.
Right. I don't know how to get rid of it.
You
I've
lucky
ordered
for
that book.
you, lucky for you, there's a book.
I,
So come get some coaching and get this book,
I
Taming
so
Your
I have
Gremlin.
it. I ordered it. I ordered it, and you. Yeah, I know. I ordered it when you told me to. When you told me to, I would say it was about maybe 6 weeks ago, and I
Beautiful.
ordered it immediately. I ordered while I was still on the while listening to you
Good,
speak, and
good.
and you had even given me a homework actually to go through. I think the chapters 1 through 3 or something for until
Okay.
by the next week, and I didn't even open up the book.
Yeah. Do you
And
know why?
yeah,
Do you know why you didn't open the book?
that inner gremlin, I'm guessing.
Exactly. It doesn't want you to recognize it. It's
Yeah.
living rent free in your head right now. And as soon as you start to read about it, it's going to have to go look for another place to live.
Mm.
So it's going to tell you a million reasons why you should not read that book.
Mm-hmm.
And it will also be likely telling you that you'll be nothing without these goals.
Mm-hmm. And that's
Which
how
is
I feel.
that is the biggest lie ever, because you already are something
Right. Yeah.
way more
Mm-hmm.
than something.
Yeah. Well, now I'm looking forward to opening up that book.
Good. But just
Yeah,
keep in mind that those gremlins are going to be all start up about right now. They are like,
for sure.
shit, she's got our number now. We're screwed.
That's good.
We got to get her just constantly chasing after this goalpost, and they just keep moving it.
Right. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
They're not your friend. They are not your
Yeah.
friend. They're nobody's friend. They have us doing that our whole lives. And we get to the end of our life and we realize, oh my God, I never paused and saw all the magic I've accomplished.
Absolutely. Because I have accomplished some great things.
I
And yet,
got
why am
that two twins, a parent that you have a relationship with that you even want to care for. I'm thinking, girl, you got a job, you're trading, like you're gorgeous, like you're killing it.
Yeah, I know. I just, it's, I know. And it's definitely that inner gremlin that's, just poisoning my joy, essentially,
And you're
Yeah.
trading.
Mm-hmm.
And
And my
you're
trading.
trading
Yeah.
because you don't get to come with the confidence and the power and might that you already have because you think somehow right now you're not enough.
Exactly.
And so you're going to take trades that you shouldn't be taking because you're trying to prove something to this liar.
Yeah. But because I'm not feeling good enough, I'm taking trades that are justifying that not being good enough.
Exactly.
And so those are where my mistakes are coming from. I know.
Instead of
Hmm.
just being like, I got it going on, then you come in and you sit and you look if it's week or days or months. I'm not taking that trade.
Hmm.
If Beyonce walks into a room, the whole room gravitates to her.
Hmm.
She walks in, she knows who she is. She
Right.
carries herself in every situation like everything is going to come to me.
Hmm.
That is not somebody who chases. It's not a have to, must, should energy at all. I don't know how much work she's done on herself, but that is how she exudes that vibe right now.
Hmm.
That is a vibe that each trader has to have in their own way when they sit at that
Absolutely.
trading desk.
Hmm.
Because the market can smell desperation and trying to prove that you're good enough. It picks up on it and it's going to tempt you with pop quizzes.
Right.
Do you know who you are? So here's a little temptation.
Hmm.
But the only ones who don't fall for that temptation are the people and the traders who know who they are.
Right. Absolutely.
You have to meet yourself for the first time. That's what I think.
Absolutely. Hmm.
I think you got that energy in you. So you're going to have to get rid of this gremlin so you can tap into it.
Right.
And then those goals, you blow through them without even thinking.
That's quite a that's quite, that's exactly what I want. So yeah, it's very
But
enticing for
once
me.
once those goals shift, once we don't collapse our self-esteem, identity, value to them,
Mhm.
that's when it's like it's so counterintuitive. You're telling me, Kim, to let go of my goals, and I'm saying yes. And as soon as you let go of them, that's when you get them. Do you see?
Right. Absolutely.
Because now you don't need them to tell you you are all that in a bag of chips.
Right.
Once you really know that, that's it. That's all you do need.
Mhm. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I believe it and I know it. I really want to get rid of these gremlins at this
Yep.
point. So
We all do. They don't go off, they stay on the bus for life, but just get
I'm
them
sure.
named. Get them
Right.
named. And did you watch the interview I did with Rick, the author of this book?
No, I little bits and parts of it. I didn't watch the
Watch
whole
that.
thing. No.
That will be good. That will be good for you because it'll just help you integrate this concept because it's heady work and they're
Mhm.
so manipulative. They're so tricky. I've
Yeah.
used this metaphor with Jess last week. They're a double agent. They
Mhm.
tempt you with this opportunity and then they arrest you on the other side of it.
Right.
If you don't have your goals, you will be lazy. If you don't reach these goals, you're not disciplined. All
Mm.
lies.
Right.
So,
If you don't reach your goals, you're not good enough.
exactly.
Mhm.
Your value is only based on the achievements you make.
Mm.
Not true.
Right.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Takes a lot of guts to come in here. I want 174 of you, which I know it doesn't show up on X, but in Restream, I see all the platforms. So all 174, you find this Cynthia and you just tell her how incredible she is. And you tell her how brave she was to represent, because so many people are struggling with the same damn thing, Cynthia. Same thing. So you just spoke on behalf of half this room who didn't have the courage to come in on camera like you did. You stopped the car, found a parking lot, and came in. Good job.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Stay in touch. Let me know how it goes. All right. Wow. What a woman. I'm so happy she came in and I'm so happy she spoke that because that is the absolute epitome of what these inner gremlins do. These inner gremlins can get us all collapsed in our worthiness being collapsed with our sense of accomplishments. And that is such a dangerous place to be, guys. Such a dangerous place to be. Yes, Christina, I'm with you. Congrats, Cindy, for being so brave to share. She is certainly not the only one with high expectations of herself. Liz says, give yourself a hug, Cynthia. Love that. Liz also says, those fucking gremlins. I'm with you, Liz. All right, so Shoe Shine Trades. You said it was an awesome session and you want some coaching. And we also have, who else said that? Somebody else said that they wanted coaching. I think it was Shoes Shine Trades and then Mighty Thunder, but I think you're going to come another day. But I think we're close to time. So Shoe Shine, I'm going to recommend that you come to either this Thursday's X Space where I'll do live coaching again at what time did I say? 11:30 Eastern. That's 5:30 a.m. for me here in Hawaii. But if you can come to that, Shoe Shine Trade's great. If not, you'll be the first to go next Tuesday. I don't know. Do I have next Tuesday? What time? I'm doing this next Tuesday, the 10th at 5 p.m. Eastern. So Shoe Shine, if you can come, and Mighty 7 under 2. Thank you, Dale. I'm so glad you're acknowledging Cynthia. That was so good. Yes, the gremlins keep fighting against us. BTO, good to have you here. Uh, Thank you so much, Cynthia. I'm so, so happy that you came into the room, were courageous enough to speak that. I think that is just one of the more profound topics for traders to really pay attention to. If your sense of self esteem, if your sense of worthiness is tied to your P&L, is tied to, again, these, kind of imaginary goals, you have to really take a hard look if that is something that the gremlin has crafted to keep you down, to keep you really in a cycle of feeling lousy about yourself. We can never have our self worth be connected to our achievements, because when our self worth, our value is not dependent on external measurements. It's a birthright. Our value is a birthright. And if there's ever this belief internally that you have to earn your worth in some way, I can promise you that is an inner gremlin and uh, not working on your behalf. And I'm not talking about not having bodacious goals for yourself, but you never want to put your sense of worthiness attached to an external measurement. They have to be internal measurements. Are you your word? Are you a person who takes responsibility for what is happening in your life? Are you a person who is kind? These are the goals we want to measure ourselves by, internally set ones, not externally ones, because those external ones are always going to have a gremlin underneath it. Doesn't mean you can't come up with goals, but if your self-esteem and your sense of worthiness is tied to those goals, that's when you get potentially very much on dangerous thin ice, because you're always going to be dependent on factors that you have no control over. And that is disempowerment right through everything. Disempowerment is not a place of possibility. And if there was more time, one of the things I would have said to Cynthia was that concept of, being somebody who is able to see this as a long game, right? I think there are traders who think that the number they have now for themselves is a number it's always going to be. But as soon as we achieve those goals, guys, there is another goalpost. And that's how humans are built. We're built that way. So you've got to go into this understanding how easily we're all tempted to move that goalpost, or have our gremlins move the goalpost for us. And that is really something that can sabotage the accomplishments you've already made for yourself. I promise you, counting the places you've done well, noticing and being grateful for yourself for all that you've done, it rarely is going to lead to hubris. I'm not saying it never does, but that is, I have not so far had one narcissist come into coaching, because guess what? Narcissists don't believe they need coaching. They don't take themselves as causing the matter of their life. So you got to think about that, guys. A lot of you guys are worried about falling into hubris. That is the last thing you have to worry about. Right now, it's about true, authentic confidence that isn't externally crafted. But so many of you guys think, oh, I'm going to get too filled with myself. Trust me, I don't think that is the fear you need to have right now. All right, PTO says, been trading pre-COVID, I'm not sure what that means, pre-COVID, and barely finding consistency on and off. It's been so long now. So you've been trading since before COVID, maybe PTO, and you're finding consistency is on and off. And I'm sorry to hear that. And you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say you're going to have to do some looking under the engine, because if the consistency isn't happening after 2, 3 years, something's off. And you got to get to the bottom of what that is. So here is my one sales pitch. Yep, 6 years. Yeah. So BTO, you're going to have to do some work. You're going to have to look under the hood. The most direct route, I believe, for everybody that is in these conversations is you have to find out what's going on internally. That is done by my assessment, Trader Positioning Index. I just put up the link here on Restream. I'm going to post it also on um, X. I would strongly recommend you consider doing that assessment to find out what is wrong with the consistency. Something is off, and that's too long to not be able to find consistency, and that concerns me. So I want you to think about it. Here is the link. It's a very unusual assessment. Um, and I want you to do it because it's going to help us both understand what's going on. Here, I'm going to put unique assessment. This thing is like an x-ray of your soul, guys. And I have talked. Yes, good. I'm so glad, BTO, because here's the thing. This assessment is very quick. It'll take you probably 10, 15 minutes at most to do it. But the results are so granular, it will take us together an hour to review your results. I did this with the former CTO of Uber, and he said his results, that the experience, his jaw almost hit the desk. He was so stunned at what it revealed. And that is what I want you guys to see as well. You have to find out what is happening underneath your vehicle. You can't expect this vehicle of yours, just like a car, to go the distance and not be cared for. Cynthia, are you coming into coaching? I think maybe that was just a mistake. Um, Cynthia, I think maybe you just came in accidentally. So I just opened it and then closed it back up because I didn't see you there. So I think it was just a mistake. All right. So I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to strongly recommend, if anybody could relate, and I'm going to say it to you too, Cynthia, I do think this assessment will be valuable for you too, because it's going to let us see how undervalued the self esteem is, how undervalued confidence is. Also, it's going to tell us if the goals that are being set are inappropriately high or just a little bit bodacious. The other thing that is measured here that's very important for traders to know about themselves is, are you coming with a lens on your trading with a sense of realistic, or are you idealistic? If you are idealistic or even moderately idealistic, you are not necessarily seeing the truth that is in front of you. People who are idealistic, this is what happens. They will look through the lens of what could be, what should be, what would be ideal to have. And I'm not going to make it wrong, but you can imagine that that could potentially keep you from seeing what is. If you're always looking through what it could be, what it should be, you are going to possibly find yourself frequently disappointed, because what is happening is what's happening, instead of you being able to see what the ideal happening could be. That is another thing that is measured on my assessment, and that is called the Trader Positioning Index. I just put it in the chat box, and I also put it up on X so everybody can see exactly what that looks like. There's lots of testimonials in there too. I hope you'll look at those. Yeah, it's so interesting because we are looking at flawed expectations. Yes. Look, expectations are a double-edged sword. On one hand, I really appreciate how Cynthia articulated how she has a relationship to goals that she feels sometimes, you know, prod her on. But especially because of the way the conversation went, I suspect it's possible this is an inner gremlin prodding her on because it feels like she's already accomplished quite a lot and isn't really present to that. So that is a question every trader needs to ask themselves with what you just said here, BTO. If your expectations are uh, not 2020, right? If your vision is not 2020, then you have to realize that's going to impact the road you take to these goals. Understanding if you're idealistic, understanding if you're under valuing your own confidence, your own sense of self. If you are conflict averse, that also gets measured on this assessment. If you are completely conflict averse, that also is going to cost you as a trader. If you are setting expectations for yourself that are someplace in another galaxy, that is going to cost you too. There's a range, of course, it's a dial. So the key is to not be too overvaluing a perspective and or undervaluing a perspective. And that is about the ruler. I've lifted this ruler up many a times. I'm going to lift it up today because we talked yardstick. This is my fancy ruler. I love this ruler because it's so beautiful and it also matches my scissors. But the reason I pull these out is because this is a 12-inch ruler, guys. Now, I could say, cut off half of it, right? Like where I'm going to try to match the mirror. And I could tell you, all that's 12 inches, but it's not. This is 12 inches. So if you have a ruler that you're measuring yourself against that isn't a standard length, then you are going to be measuring yourself up against something that isn't accurate. And I don't want to see that happen. Trading is hard enough. You don't want to make it harder than it already is. All right, we're going to stop there. It was good to see everybody. I want to recommend a couple of things to all of you. I would love to see you be able to, at a minimum, sign up for Curtain Call. That is my weekly email. I'm going to put that up here. And if you aren't on that mailing list, do sign up. It is a very deep email we send. They're short. We try to keep them brief, but they are very powerful to really be in service to you and your trading journey. So please, if you haven't signed up for Curtain Call, that's a play on my last name. My last name is Curtin, but it's spelled Curtin, which I've had spelled it correctly my whole life ever since being in school. Everybody always spells it wrong. So sign up here. And then you guys can stay on top of, when I'm doing the free coaching as well. All right. So did I put that in the box? Nope, I probably didn't. Let me put that here now. Do sign up. You are so welcome. Cynthia, thank you so much for coming in. That was such a powerful conversation. I'm really grateful to you that you were so vulnerable and willing to be part of it. Please stay in touch, Cynthia. I'm looking forward to seeing all the magic you create when we get these gremlins out from behind the microphone of your head. I want Cynthia to hear her own voice instead of those lying double agent gremlins. All right. So please come in Thursday. This Thursday, I'll be on X. Like I said, at 11:30 Eastern time, audio only. Come with your baggage. Or remember, I have a trading vent hotline. That number, for you who don't know it, is 646 828 7736. You can leave a voicemail there. You don't have to say your name. And then I'll play that voicemail during the X space and or during this YouTube space. And I'll address your coaching issue then. You can also always send me a DM on X. All right, guys. I hope you guys stay safe, trade well the rest of this week. And please remember, be kind to yourselves.